Hello and welcome back to Confessions of a Gamer Girl podcast. I'm your host, Doom Cutie, and I have our lovely panelists with us today. We have the lovely Lishi.
Hello, everybody.
And the effervescent Ellie.
I see what you did there. Hello, hello.
And this week we are joined by the amazing MissDeusGeek. Also, some people know her as Diana. Thank you so much for joining us this week. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to be here.
For those, there might be some people that don't know who you are or what you do. Those people obviously live under a rock. But could you just tell us what you've been doing lately, and what's your overall kind of role in the gaming community?
Well, recently I've kind of taken a bit of a step back, just focusing on being an advocate for diversity, but I also do social media content on the side. I guess in a very roundabout way, I am a doer of many things and aware of many hats in the gaming industry. And also I work in pop culture and as well as a influencer manager. So just been around the traps for quite a long time, actually. It's 8 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it certainly seems like it's like a short amount of time, but also like when you look back, you're like, damn, that's I've done some things. And you know what? I find probably like the best people that I've ever been in touch with in the industry have always had, really various positions. And I think that personally, that makes you more of a well-rounded member of the gaming community.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really nice to kind of change and adapt with the changing times and having a little bit of experience in all the different roles that exist within gaming. I mean, obviously, I've not been in the game dev side, but it's always nice to learn from so many different people from all walks of life and get a feel for what truly makes the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again for being here as well, and also thank you to our product sponsor Elgato, always making us sound and look our very best. We'll go straight into what has everyone been up to this week. Let's start with you, Diana.
To be honest, this week has been pretty busy. I'm working on a little thing that will be launching in 2 weeks, so can't say too much just yet. But 2nd of October, keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, so I've been hard at work at that and playing a lot of party animals.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I've been playing that by myself, and then I managed to get my husband to come along and play with me yesterday, and he just obliterated me in every match. And he won't give away his secrets as well because he needs to win. He's very competitive, and I'm just like, I just love being an animal, just like drunkenly walking around and trying to smash into things and throwing my opponents off like the arena, so to speak. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of that, and I'm still powering through Mortal Kombat, which I'm a big fan of as well.
Quite different different games there. But yeah, no, Party Animals is so cute. If you get the chance to jump into it, it's very non-serious. It's a a physics-based game, and you like flail around while looking really cute. Basically what I do every day. Ellie, what have you been up to this past week?
A good question actually. It's been one of those weeks it's just kind of like zoomed by, and then you look back and like, oh my gosh, like what did I do this week? I'm actually keen. I'm starting Alan Wake, which is exciting because I'm really keen for the release of Alan Wake 2. And then also like I'm going to like the Friends experience on tomorrow, in Melbourne, which is they've got all the sets and the props and stuff, which I'm a massive Friends fan, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, Friends as in the TV show. I was like, what game is that? I haven't played that.
Yeah, so it's eating out of my gaming time tomorrow to go and touch grass, as they say, get back into society.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
looking
gonna
forward to
take
it.
wait, they probably have the couch, hey?
Yeah, all of those sorts of things. The fountain, it's just like a fan event sort of thing. So
That's so cool. You'll have to
mm.
I'm sure you'll post on socials.
I'll have to, because honestly, I'm
Yeah.
trying to scrounge up a little Rachel Green fit to wear, because you gotta
Really?
like you gotta wear the part. So
Icon.
that's the aim. Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine you with straight hair, actually.
Oh yeah, considering like my hair is like ringlety when it's short, and then quite wavy now that it's long, it just misbehaves. It misbehaves because I have alopecia, so when I was 11, I lost all of my hair and it was golden, and then it came back short ringlets. It was hilarious,
Oh wow.
and I was
I
like
didn't know
I was like
that.
makeover, and so ever since then I've had like curly hair. But prior to that, as a little girl, I just had like long wavy hair, and now I've got curly hair. Thanks, Curly Talk, for helping me look after my hair.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm notorious throughout my whole life. I've not liked my hair, and it hasn't been up until ever since I got this situation, because I've got quite a large forehead, and so I'm in need of some covering of that. Otherwise, it's gets sunburn. Anyway, I digress. The point is that I do have wavy hair, and I've always fought it, like always, because like my mum had straight hair. She did not like it. It was just her hair was perfect all the time. So it was like I didn't learn how to look after my curls. So
Yeah,
this is where we're at. But
lean
yeah,
into it.
I'm finally I use a steam straightener now, which like puts in a lot more moisture, so it's less damaging for the hair.
That's good.
Anyway, long story short, I'm okay with my hair now.
Yeah.
Speaking of hair, Lishi, you've always have fantastic hair. And
My hair's also wavy and sometimes curly as well, believe it or not. But because it's at such a short length, I don't like wearing it natural often.
Your hair isn't short.
No, I used to have really long hair. My hair used to be down to like my butt crack, but it was really weird. Yeah, but then I decided to ombre it and it killed it, so I had to cut it all off. But my hair is naturally wavy and it's quite buffy as well. Like there are some photos of me on my Instagram with my natural hair where I wear my headband just to kind of keep it off my head.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, like it's nice, but it has to be styled properly.
Yeah, it's
a
lot of. It is a struggle. But hopefully, you haven't been struggling with gaming this week, Lishi. What have you been playing?
I finished off Fae Farm, which like I liked it, but I had so many performance issues that it made it really hard to enjoy the game as much as I was hoping to. But I actually just started the Pokemon DLC last night, so I haven't got too far in yet. But I've been sick this week, so it's been so fun, just trying to sit there and focus on a game has just not really been happening much. So I'm hoping that my allergies just calm down a little bit over the weekend so I can finish off this DLC and get prepared for October. It's going to be huge for games.
It certainly is. I feel like this time of year is just huge in the gaming front. What have I been playing this week? I have been smashing a lot of the Crew Motorfest. Really,
cool.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm part of the Ubisoft Creator Program. I just really, really like racing games, especially the ones that have playlists, and it's varied, it's fun. You know, my friends can play, or I can just, you know, really lean into it and, you know, get through and check off all the little things, all that, you know, little dopamine. It's like, oh, I finished this playlist now. I unlocked this car and all that stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. I've gotten a little bit, like, I'm going to say worn out by Starfield. Like,
interesting.
It's a huge game. It really is. And I just have lost a little bit of steam. So I've put it on the back end of things. And I'm allowing myself to play other games. Because I was feeling, I don't know, I felt like I'd reached a point where I wasn't having as much fun, I guess. And not that the game isn't good. It's just, it takes up a lot of time. So yeah,
that's my worry with playing.
Yeah, with open world.
Yes, it's a really big open world, and like some of the areas, you know, you're not prepared for, like you're not ready for. So and because there's a lot of resource management and things like that definitely affects, you know, how you play the game. So if you don't manage your resources well enough, then you're gonna have a bad time. Okay, it's just, you know, and I don't want to work hard when I play games. I just want to like relax and have fun. You know, like kicking people in the face, like Diana, you know, like I'm sure that's very satisfying.
Get off here.
Yeah, pretty much, and ripping heads off and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I one of so the person at Well Played, Ash, he reviewed Mortal Kombat, and I shared it on Instagram, but he he posted his reaction to, there's like a mini challenge in there, and you basically like karate chop this chicken in half on a board. It was and I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, oh, righto. Like his reaction was so funny. So yeah, it is quite brutal. That's not one to play on the big TV in front of the kids, I don't think.
Yeah, that's when kids go to bed.
Yeah, for sure. But we should get into today's main topic, which is, you know, it can be a little bit of an uncomfortable topic for people to talk about. But really, I think the main thing that I want people to take away from talking about this topic in gaming is that it's about celebration, and it's about embracing others in the community for, you know, where they come from, and, you know, what they bring to the table. Overall, like, personally, there is a lot of, you know, there's a lot of prejudice that exists within, you know, females and males in gaming, but it's also, if it's not to do with gender, it's usually about where people come from. And a lot of the time I have found it goes really kind of unnoticed, or like, it's not those bigger, loud conversations around it. It can be really subtle, and can be really just not very nice. I mean, Deanna, what's your experience? You know, you're from Southeast Asia. You know, what has your experience been in general as a gamer, not only as a female, but, you know, from someone of that descent?
I think it's definitely improved a lot. My experiences with games has changed as the industry as a whole has, you know, become a bit more inclusive and more open-minded. Definitely growing up, it was something that I always asked, or at least had that question in my mind about, why am I playing as characters who are predominantly male? Because, back in like the early 90s, we barely had any female representation in games. And then, when Street Fighter brought Chun-Li out, it's like, okay, we've got one female who's of, Asian descent. What about someone like me? I'm not even Indian. I'm Sri Lankan, Malaysian. So it's like I'm almost classified as a minority under the minority. So it's like, well, where's my South Asian, Sri Lankan, Tamilian representation? And it was always one of those things of like, I've never seen people like me in the media or as celebrities or any of the industries that I was really passionate about. And it always made me feel that, maybe I can't pursue these sort of things because I don't see anyone else like me doing it. And as times has changed, that has changed. And it's been so nice to see a lot more, Asian games being developed in Asia. We see a lot more people of color being, working in leadership roles, taking on really important roles within the industry, being hosts, being on camera, being, that kind of representation that I didn't see as a kid. And so I think the experience I'm having now is one of, this is amazing, and how can we cultivate more of this so that the younger generation never have to feel what I felt as a kid. So it's been really nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm very conscious of that. I'm a parent. I have 2 daughters, and I am constantly aware of the kind of exposure they have to people from different cultures. And I live in a town that's predominantly white, and I worry that their vision of what society is like, and what is what beauty standards, and working with people from different cultures, the general way that people talk with one another, just generally, I'm afraid that they could be stunted because of their lack of exposure. But I do think that in the media, it has really, really helped. Like, even, if I think about, like, I don't know, if I want to go like down Disney kind of route, the little, the stuff that's marketed to little kids, I think has really grown, especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of people will have some negative reactions to, Disney bringing out a live action of a really beloved classic animation movie and changing the race of the lead character, like, The Little Mermaid, for example. But I think it's not about us who enjoyed classic animation when it came out years ago. It's about the younger generation and what kind of impact these stories are having on them as a result of, all of these things that Disney and so many other companies are doing.
Yeah,
And I'd say
definitely.
that there's no limit to it as well, because why not have that representation? Why not include everybody? Because it is fantastic. Like, why wouldn't we want to celebrate absolutely everyone and like, not everyone and everything all the time, but each individual event like this, like, let's celebrate that. And like you were saying, Doom, it's like getting these younger children into that sort of thing. And so when they do come across other people from different cultures, it's not a shock. They go to other countries, they can also experience things from the other side, and it's beautiful. And I love being part of this time where we are including more cultures amongst even as things as I don't want to use the term like simple, but I mean like small as Disney, in the way of like for everyone, you know what I mean? If that makes sense, like everyone can enjoy Disney, so it's important that that sort of thing is involved with Disney.
For sure. And I think like game customization these days, especially when you can create a character that looks like you, like, that is something that I am totally here for. Like, because I think everyone in gaming wants, I think most people are seeking connection. And I think that in order to really have a fantastic experience and connect in the gaming space, playing a character that looks like you is really important. Now, I probably Okay. So I'm going to go down a little bit of a route here because I do want to talk about it. I did see in the media when Diablo 4 came out, and there's a lovely creator named actually Arcane, and she saw the druid, and she made this character look exactly like her. Now, the druid has a very broad character model, but she looks strong. And you know what? She kind of really did look like this lovely, lovely human. And I know for a fact, like even in the beginning of either more cultures or more women in gaming, there's always been very limited body types that actually have been in these games. Like unless I, unless you look a certain way, it kind of felt like, okay, well, this is, they're trying to present something that is, idyllic, like for example, we talk about Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, right? That's probably like the biggest female protagonist that, I kind of grew up with in a game. But, she's very, she has a very feminine body type. And you hear jokes all the time in the community, and this is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, that really low level kind of prejudice. This is what you'll hear. Oh, I love playing a female character. I like staring at a female's ass all day.
Yes, I've heard that so many times.
Yeah. And especially in your Fortnite, Ellie, the characters that are particularly...
Yes, their base model is just so ridiculous, like small waist, big hips, like it's ridiculous. And then they have like one plus size character, and like she only pops up here and there. It's like, and then yet the dudes have like all different body types as well. And yeah, it's strange.
I have thought about that, and I thought that maybe there's limitations in their character models, as in like, because there's not much variation in height either. So I do wonder if maybe it is like a programming limitation, because I know, because I thought about maybe if they do crossovers all the time, right? And I thought if they did a Shrek crossover, that would be really cool. But then I was thinking, I was like, would they have a Lord Farquaad? Like, he's really short, and I've never seen a really short character model. So I don't know if there's actually a limitation in the character modeling in Fortnite.
No, you're probably right, because it would come down to equality, I suppose, amongst competition, because a smaller character might be able to hide a bit easier. But they do have like wider characters as well as thinner characters. But I don't think that really like impacts it as much as like height would. But I mean, I'll also say that they do their bodies for the men as well are like beefy as heck. So it's also on the other side for boys as well. They have unrealistic expectations that they're meant to be broad and abs and Aquaman and whatnot.
For sure. I actually have had more conversations more recently. Like a lot of guys do get quite insecure about not being like, like big and strong. And I have to remind, I have to remind myself as well, like where you come from, your cultural background actually really influences your body type. Like I know for a fact I'm built for making babies and surviving wars back home, like potato famines. I've got Irish and Scottish in my background. I'm also 10% Polynesian. Thank you, ancestry.com.au. But yeah, and that explains so much about my body type and things that I'm like predispositioned to have on my body. And I think probably nowadays with more technology and more research into these kinds of things, like you can say, you know what, I have a small frame because that's where my people come from. And the more multicultural our society is, the more we have to realize that it's not okay to tease someone just because they're short. Like my work as a teacher, I've seen a lot of, especially boys, just teasing smaller boys simply because they haven't had their puberty yet. Or you know what? Their parents are actually like medium-sized people. Whereas like they've got a really tall dad and like really tall grandparents. And it's kind of like, well, these are things that can't be helped. And people are actually using
That's
these unique qualities that this person has against them. Lishi, have you had any experiences like that?
Well, see, it's so hard because like I obviously come from a place of privilege, right? I'm a white female, so unfortunately in society that is just it gives an upper hand, which is not nice. But for me, I come from an Italian background, and Italian people do have accentuated bodies and physiques, and
Yeah.
to put it bluntly, my backside is quite large. Okay, so I get sexualized a lot.
Yeah, Lishi, you look damn good, like all the time. She's
Thank you.
She posts up photos of herself. She's like this little pocket rocket queen. I adore it. I love it.
I love the way I look, but the way I look is also for me and for my partner, so I can be confident with how I look, but to have comments about it when I haven't asked for it, that's when it gets uncomfortable. And unfortunately, this no. I just mean like from people you don't know, right? Especially being a female and having it come from men as well. It can be. Most of the time it's water off a duck's back for me, but there's times where it does get me and I'm like, it's very inappropriate. I can't help the way I look. This is in my genes. If you look at my mother, my grandmother, and bless her soul, my great grandmother when she was around, we all have the same kind of body type, and that's just it's in our nature. And it is something that in our industry, in games and pop culture and movies and stuff, it is idolized. That is the body type. And I don't really know how I feel about that, to be honest, because like I'm proud of the way I look because I put effort into the way I look, but I also feel sick about it sometimes. It can get quite uncomfortable when these ideas and these thoughts about that body type are out there. So it's I sit like just on this awkward scale of I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, I think it is appropriate to have kind of both ends of the pendulum in the way of you feel comfortable and confident within yourself, but it is also a bit actually a lot uncomfortable when it comes to other people commenting on that, especially when you don't know them, because obviously everybody is different. There's some people that don't accept compliments or comments about their body, which is obviously valid. And then there's other people where they're fine if they know the person, if they're friends or family. And then there's people that don't mind it coming from all angles. And I think that the four of us can all understand that a lot of the times when it comes to being idolized on social media, that almost is one of the first things that some people comment when they slide into your DMs to try and compliment you. And they talk about the way you look, whether it be just an offhanded like, oh, you're stunning, or if they go into more detail. And I think some people don't understand that. I understand at the baseline that is a compliment, but it does not make me feel good because I don't necessarily know the person or their what they want to get out of it. It can be the unknown can be quite scary.
Yeah. And like I can absolutely take a compliment and I appreciate it, but it's the moment it crosses that boundary and gets very sexual, that's when it's not okay, and then that's where I get this guilt of looking the way I do, which I don't know if anyone's ever felt that before because I've never really brought it up, to be honest. But, I'm allowed to take a nice photo of myself and pop out my hip if I want to, or wear some tight fitting clothes because I feel good about myself. But there should be some unspoken boundaries in place for everybody, that everyone should understand. And I understand it's social media. I put myself out there. I'm going to receive this feedback. does it make it okay when it's extreme? No, it doesn't. You know, I'm
Yeah.
more than the way I look, and I like to make
Mm.
sure that with every piece of content I make, people can see that too. You know, I've got a brain. I'm more than
course.
my body. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I haven't really ever spoken about feeling that way, to be honest.
Oh, well,
Hmm.
I'm glad you felt comfortable sharing
Yeah.
that. And I think that really leans into another issue that exists. You know, a lot of cultures are actually quite sexualized. You know, where you come from,
Mhm.
and I don't think video games help with that.
Yeah.
You know, Diana, you mentioned, you know, Chun-Li, and she's a very, like, her, even as pixelated as she was back in the day, you know, like, and especially in those games like Mortal Kombat and things like that, those women, they're in very skimpy outfits, you know, and the outfits are kind of usually a reference to where they come from. So I do sometimes feel like the games industry really does feed that, because I mean, they know who their market is. It's like a 30-something guy that used to play this at the arcade when he was, you know, a prepubescent teenager, and now he's got enough money to have his own setup in his own house. And yeah, they kind of, I'm pretty sure if they changed the character model of Chun-Li or any of those, you know, oh, what's her name? The blue one, I forget, in Mortal Kombat.
Katana.
Yeah, Katana. Like, you know, can you imagine if they put more clothes on Katana?
Oh gosh, I think there'd be a riot. Yeah.
That'd be riots.
I don't think so. I mean, at the end of the day, if you look back into the history of the game as well, like even the more monstrous characters like Melina, who's kind of sort of Katana's sister, she's meant to have this really scary looking face. Like she's got, you know, this wide mouth with like sharp teeth, but her figure is so svelte and so, you know, attractive in the media's way of describing what attractive women are. And it's like, I thought she was meant to be like kind of scary. why are you giving her such a, you know, typical female character's body type, you know? So I always thought that was a really interesting thing, because like I don't think I've ever grown up playing a character that was on the larger side in terms of being a female. Until maybe now, you know, when you can do, like Doom, you mentioned earlier, character selection, where you can actually create characters that represent how you really look.
Yeah, it's and I mean, people will probably say, oh, well, you know, like it's, you know, because technology has advanced, and I really do think that that's a cop out, because you could have made a stock standard character that was larger, taller, smaller, shorter, you know, more flat chested. Like every time I see a character model, they're always they've got a it's almost like every single character they try to get from another, or try to implement from another cultural background, gets, and I don't know what the term is, so please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sort of whitewashed. They get put through this filter that's for, you know, Western media, that doesn't even properly look like the people from that culture. Like, I'm sure that must be like incredibly frustrating to see.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fetishization as well when it comes to, like, for example, Asian women, you know, especially the East Asian women as well. So it's almost like they've taken what they want to see as an East Asian woman and kind of used that as their model of sorts. And, you know, if you really go to East Asia and look at women, like not all of them are really stick skinny. There are some who are on the larger side. It's like, you know, I know a lot of people talk about Asian women being, they look young for like 70 years of their life, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's not really true in the grand scheme of things. If you do go looking around, everyone looks different. And so I'm not sure why that fetishization has come about, other than the fact that, you know, Asian women at one stage in our generation have been classified as, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like they are exotic.
Yeah.
When, you know, we're all parts of, I really don't
think you can say
understand
that
it,
anymore,
but
can you? Like putting the, if a heterosexual man would be like, oh, I love exotic women. What does that mean? Like
Yeah.
that sounds really gross, to be fair. Um, but you know what? I think look, I understand. Like it's probably like people when people make a product, they're thinking about the kind of person that is looking at their stuff, buying their stuff. So they're looking at it from okay, we want to make our community happy so we can continue to make money. I get it. It's a business, but I think the effect on cultural standards and societal perfection is really heavily altered because of that. And maybe that fetishization of Asian women probably isn't helped by things like hentai, some kind of anime that but I don't think people understand that it's the extremes like that. That kind of content really promotes the extreme, so they don't expect everyone to look like that, but that is the reason why it's so entertaining. I think I'm getting that right.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, like if I can kind of give you an example of a particular character where there was a bit of an interesting uproar when they changed the model of that character. So I'm not sure if any of you girls have watched Naruto, the anime Naruto, and there's a character in there who's meant to be like a really powerful female ninja who was introduced with really large, a really large chest, so to speak. And for years, that was her character. But in the spin-off series, they kind of retconned her and gave her a flat chest. And people were just like, what on earth is happening? This is ridiculous. It's like, not really. It's the same character. Your enjoyment of her is because she's a female ninja, not because of her chest.
Not her bra size.
They're focusing on the wrong thing. Unless her power comes from her chest and that's why it's so big.
She has magical titties.
I mean, it's
magical
anime.
Look, and you know what? If that's what you're leaning into, totally go for it. Like that's and if that's what it is. But if you're changing the chest size for to be like more politically correct or whatever, like that seems, I don't know how I feel, because honestly it's one of those things, like if you don't see it, if you're not aware of it, you just sort of like, oh well, I don't really know how to feel, and it's actually really hard to comment on, to be honest, because honestly I couldn't care less about the size of women's titties in video games, as long as they and as long as it's working, the game plays and it's not glitching all over the place, like we're gonna have a good time. But I do know that probably other people out there would be really concerned. Dana, I do have something that I want to ask you. You have had so much experience in games, you've played so many games. Do you have any idea like of a game that you think would be really amazing to see that we haven't seen just yet, that potentially, is more representative of your own culture?
That's a really good question. And I can't really give you an example of what I would like to see because I'm sort of seeing it already.
Okay.
So, for example, we've seen, a lot of games coming out of Asia that are doing such a good job with just including the culture, the even mythologies from different regions, different people. And, for example, I can talk about like recently I played Venba, which I think, Lishi, you've played as well. And we kind of had an interesting discussion about that earlier, a couple of months ago, I think it is now. And Venba was just absolutely amazing. I never would have expected that to be a game ever, to be honest, a game about cooking South Indian food. It's just unheard of almost. I never would have imagined it to be a video game. And it was one that did really well. So many people enjoyed it. Yes, it was about, a Tamil mom and a Tamil family, but I think a lot of people from different cultures really enjoyed the story and what they got out of that game, because it touched on things that I think every culture experiences. And I think, the game like there's a game called Cabaret, which was made by, I think, Persona Theory in Malaysia. And that game included, it was all about Malaysian mythology and cultural characters that we all grew up with in Malaysia. So playing that, for example, was really, really nice because it was like, oh, I got to see like, for example, just giving you some added context. In Malaysia, we have like, our folklores and some scary monsters that we were all, experienced as kids and were told horror stories about. So we've got a character called the Pontianak, which means it's like the Ring, or what's that other Japanese movie where it's like the woman in
The
the white
Grudge.
dress. Grudge, that's the one. Yeah, and with the black hair straight down.
Terrifying.
It's absolutely terrifying. So Pontianak is basically that, but it's masked as like this beautiful woman with all white, long black hair. And the story in folklore is that she would kind of seduce men and then kill them, eat them, all sorts of horrible things. And to see that in the game, I was just like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd see this in a video game where it was just a character having tea in a tea house. And it was like, this is kind of nice. It changes my perception of the horrifying creature I grew up hearing about. But the point I'm trying to make is that I think I'm seeing a lot more games now from so many different cultures that are really reflecting on the different people we have around the world and the different, I guess, aspects that we have grown up with, like Cabaret and like Venba. For example, I was so blown away playing Raji because I'm not really a practicing Hindu, but I come from a Hindu family. So we have, all our gods and all our different religious practices that we do. And to play as Raji, where she's literally being given powers and I guess, equipment from gods to go through and fight, horrible monsters that come from Hindu mythology, it really helped me embrace my religion and my culture, and it made me feel like, oh my gosh, someone out there has created this game and put so much thought and effort into getting it right. Because sometimes you feel like, how can someone really develop a game where everything is accurate culturally, religion wise, everything is so accurate to the point that you feel like you're in the game experiencing it. And I think that's, it's just really nice. I think I actually nearly cried when I first finished Raji because it was just so amazing to feel like my entire culture and where I come from has been depicted in this one indie game. And the best part is the main character is also female, so I got to feel that kind of empowerment from that as well. And so whilst I can't really think of any game I'd like to see, I'd like to say that we're seeing that now, and I think that's so special. And I think a lot of people in the world are embracing these games a lot more as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I touch on something you just said as well? Because I got a question in regards to it. So we're seeing the progression across the indie space, which is amazing. But how do you feel about AAAs and mainstream games still kind of falling behind in that regard? Like, when is it going to be the norm to see a lot more diversity across the main stage, basically?
Well, I mean, it is definitely slow moving in the AAA space, but mind you, there are little instances where they do try to bring characters from other cultures into the game as the main lead. So, for example, I don't know if you remember Star Wars Battlefront 2. When that came out, they had the character Eden Verso, who was modeled and acted by Janina Gavankar, who is South Asian. And so her entire build, her entire way of speech, her way of moving was all very South Asian. And that was my, I had a little fangirl moment because I love her as an actress as well. And so it was really nice to see that inclusion and her being a main character in such a big AAA game. And, throughout history, we do see some inclusions of some diverse characters from different backgrounds. It's just one of those things I think that can be quite hard because, like Dune mentioned earlier, it is a business, and I think a lot of these AAA companies are still trying to look at, well, how do we market this game to our fans and our supposedly bigger fans and bigger target markets, which unfortunately is most of the time the Western world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd love to
Definitely.
see change, to be honest, but
Hmm.
it'll
Do you think
happen.
do you think that obviously Xbox is doing a really great job with embracing the Asian fans of Xbox? Do you think that potentially when when they realize their customer base is changing, do you think that that will become more of a priority to them, and therefore all of the Microsoft studios, that maybe they will draw more attention to those people so that it is part of their business model because they do have fans in that area?
I don't know about the AAA games that they are making, but I definitely see them bringing a lot more Asian games to their family or studios. And like, for example, we saw a whole host of Asian games being shown off at the Tokyo Game Show briefing
Yes.
that they had,
Yeah, we
and that
did.
was really
Yeah.
nice. I think Sarah Bond mentioned that they've more than doubled their Asian or Japanese games on the console, which, you never really thought of Xbox as a platform for Asian games. It was always Nintendo first and foremost, and then maybe PlayStation. But to see Xbox having like Ace Attorney, and then it's coming soon Final Fantasy, and all these really, really big Asian games coming to the console, I think it is showing that that shift is happening, and the focus of them really going hard on that message of gaming is for everyone and gaming should be played by everyone is helping them navigate this space a lot better than maybe previous years where they were just pushing out Halo and Gears of War and the
Yeah.
stock standard Xbox games. I mean, even having a Japanese map on the new Forza, that's a pretty cool thing to see.
Yep.
You never really expect it. I mean, I would love to see like the Singapore racetrack, the Formula One racetrack. I would love to see that come into a Forza game because I'm from Malaysia, so
I am gunning for the next Forza Horizon to be set somewhere in Asia. I really
Japan.
hope. Pardon?
It should have been Japan, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer, right?
Well,
but
you would
really,
think so, right?
yeah. But ideally, if they were to put it in Malaysia is or Dubai. Those would be very valid places to host a racing game, and then from that, the DLC could be going around the world. See,
That would be cool.
That would be insane. I would adore that. Phil Spencer, Playground Games. Listen to me. We have an idea.
You heard it here first. Next Forza.
Next Forza. I'm not like a massive fan of Final Fantasy. I don't know if any of you have played it, but do you find that Final Fantasy is does it feed a positive narrative around Asian culture?
It's an interesting one because I've never really played Final Fantasy. I know of it, and I know there are huge, fan bases around it. And I think it's one of those situations where it's all, well, literally in the title, it's fantasy. So it's all characters that you're not going to meet a character like, is it Tifa?
Yeah,
in real life. She's not going to walk around and that's going to be a representation of women in Asia, for example.
Okay.
So I don't know.
You're right. You're right.
I feel
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's just it. Like gaming, like a lot of games lean into this is a fantasy world. However, I think sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to to identify, okay, what is a game that's aiming to be like reality and what game isn't, because because everything is so well meshed together. It's like you think about some games and you're like, oh, what is existing in reality and what is existing in fantasy?
I think it's a fine line too when it comes to all of that of where where does the buck stop? And I think that a lot of the times as well, it comes to damned if you do, damned if you don't, because there are going to be people that have issues upon the representation and they could take offense. And then you also have the other people that are celebrating and excited. And so there's no one rule in a way of like, okay, let's speak to the group of people that we need to speak to about representation. We'll get their opinion. As long as we've got their opinion, then we're in the good books. Because there isn't. Because like we were saying before about Disney films with the new Snow White that's coming out. We may have mentioned this in another one of our episodes, but how the Little People actors had come out and saying, oh, it's horrific that they've changed the dwarves to be average height people. That's our work. They've taken it from us. And then you have Peter Dinklage, who's an advocate for little people and little people in acting. And he said, no, it's disgusting if you were to use us as the dwarves. We've moved past that. All the technology now, you just don't need it. And so that to me has always been a prime example of, yes, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But having said that, there is parameters of being appropriate and not being blatantly offensive when it comes to representation of culture and race, because there's obviously ways of just being just sloppy with it, going into old stereotypes, and then that's not okay. But as long as it's done respectfully and also with crowdsource information, that there are beautiful ways that we can have both reality and fantasy representations of culture with hopefully minimal carnage of the internet and their opinions.
Yeah, definitely.
Very much.
I think what people who are creating games need to ensure is that if you're going to reference or use a particular culture in your game, you need to make sure that you have people on your team that are experts in that. Otherwise, you're going to come into the line of fire. And one example of that most recently was the game Dinkum. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. So the issue is, so if you don't know what Dinkum is, it's a kind of Animal Crossing style version, fictional version of Australia.
The Outback.
And in the Outback. And it's really cute, but it didn't take into account the meaning of the land to our First Nations people. And they didn't have actually anyone on their team to speak to on that. So there was talks of it erasing the Aboriginal people and their culture and their connection to the land, which, I mean, fair enough. Like if you're going to make a game that's, really about farming the land, collecting of resources, things like that on, considered sacred grounds for a people, then I think that was a really bad move on that for that team. And they're just an indie team as well. So
I played a little bit of it because I didn't buy it. It was gifted to me by someone in my family who wanted to jump on, and I didn't play a lot, but from what I remember seeing, you do not see anything in there in regards to Indigenous people or even like words, that they use that can describe a piece of land or an object or an animal. Like you just don't see any of that. And it's been a very long time since I have played it, so I'm not sure if they have done updates or anything like that. But even something, to them it might be a small thing, but to the general public or people who are playing the game, this is a big issue. Like you have to be aware that if you are tapping into cultural things in games, you need to do it right.
Yeah, exactly. There's another Australian indie game that they were at PAX last year. I think you might know it, Broken Roads. So that is set in post-apocalyptic Australia. So the idea behind it is fantastic. And I do look forward to seeing how they implement the Indigenous culture around that, because it could be actually a really deep and rich story if they were to tap into it, and it could actually really make the Australian Indigenous people's culture really stand out. So yeah,
But also give them a voice in this space and the opportunity to work in the industry alone. Like, could you imagine if you brought people onto your team to help design, to help educate, to help just create? Like, there's just so many pathways that this
certainly.
could be positive for. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
and at the end of the day, like technology has come so far. There's no reason why someone cannot be liaisoning from the other side of the world on a game that you're developing, wherever it might be. There's no reason why teams can't work on games together internationally. And really, if you want to do a game justice and you're trying to represent a culture accurately, I think it's important that you use those technologies to help you. For sure. Diana, is there anything else that you wanted to say about your work in the community? I do see you a lot really trying to promote Southeast Asian gaming. So is there anything that you want to share, or any like notable moments that you want to share with us?
I mean, in terms of anything notable, I suppose every time there's a Asian Heritage Month or anything like that, you can be sure to know that I will be out there cheering everyone on.
Yeah.
But it's not really just about Asian culture as well. I'm really quite passionate about just diversity as a whole. So, for example, I'm working closely on this project, as I mentioned, and it's going to be partnering with a team in Canada who really focus on Black gamers. So, it's all about really, really trying to bridge the gap between all our different regions.
Yeah.
And so that's all I can say about it in this point in time. It's definitely got to focus.
Exciting.
It's going to be interesting. It's definitely an evolution of everything I've done in the games industry. So it's going to be like, what's next for MissDeusGeek, so to speak. But it's really about the next generation as well. I think there's a lot of people who put in good work for the here and now, but we're not really focused on, well, what happens when we leave? So I think that's where this project is really going to shine, is actually focusing on, the younger generation who are going to take over when we're too old and we're probably going to retire at some point, So that's essentially a little bit of what I can talk about at this stage. So again, it's coming out the week of PAX, so stay tuned.
It's exciting.
And then in terms of PAX as well, it's going to be huge, especially with PAX just is going to take over the whole of October, it feels like, with everything we're hearing that's going to be there. And obviously, we've got a panel as well that I'm part of, which is going to be focused on women in games and essentially how we've forged a little legacy, which is in the title as well. It's Forging Her Legacy. And it's going to be all about, talking about building bridges and really trying to change the I guess, the industry's perception of what it is to be a female gamer. And I guess that's also what you all do. And I think that it's something we need to really try to push a lot more. So I think more of us doing that is always going to be a great thing.
Yeah, so like I think that all sounds fantastic. And I mean, yes, we are really trying to push to have more female representation in gaming, and sometimes asking those tough questions, and basically just trying to encourage more women to put themselves out there. I actually had a comment on my Instagram. It was probably a couple of weeks back, and I think she sent it to all of us, Lishi and Ellie and myself. And basically she said, I have a young baby, but I see Ellie and she's got her little baby, and you've got 2 kids yourself, and you're all putting yourselves out there, and you're inspiring me to to stream, to share my love of gaming. And I've seen her like really like she's putting out heaps more content now,
she's
and
ramping it up. Yeah,
and it's just so lovely to see. And there's women in gaming is such an umbrella. There's so many like underlying things in there. There's so many minorities in women in gaming. So it's just, Oh, I just love it. It's just vibes, okay? It's
Yeah.
super amazing vibes, and I'm so here for it. And you know, I don't want it to be irregularity. You know, I don't think women are aiming to do this to feel special. We're just trying to, like, you know, keep going.
Should be the
And
norm.
Yeah.
exactly. And I thought gaming podcasts, women, like, I haven't seen that many. So this is what I try to do every week. Every week we're getting out there, we're doing our thing, we're slowly growing. And the more we can put our message out there, and messages like the one that you put out every single day and that you embody and live, Diana. Just thank you. Thank you for all the work that you
Thank
do.
you for doing all of this. I think it's so empowering as well, because I think, it's really important to be seen and heard, and to see people like yourselves out there pushing for change, and also just making content essentially, because it's like, yeah, they're doing it, I can do it too. Like what you said about that person who commented, it's, you kind of have to see that in media and games and content to feel like, I can do this too. If they can do it and they're happy doing it and they're all smiles while doing it, I know it's going to be great for me too, and there's nothing stopping me to do it. And I think that's the message I take out of this podcast every week, when you're up there talking about all these important topics and important ideologies that really the gaming industry should be listening to as a whole, I think. So good on you, all you girls. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I appreciate it so much.
The girls. Yeah, the girls.
And it'll just blow up at PAX when we're all together, just vibing in one space. It's gonna be like in Spider-Man when he has the venom and he's like,
yes.
Girly
The
vibes, and we're
estrogen
just gonna
hit.
shoot out pink neon vibes.
Look, if we all vibe so hard, we'll probably end up syncing our cycles. So just beware, okay? So just beware, all right?
Blood sisters.
So just be mindful, okay? I'm so excited for PAX, and just putting this community meetup together is just going to be amazing. And I've had a few people message me about it, and I'm like, yes, you can come.
I'm roping everyone in
now. Yeah, we need to say where it is and what time, because there might be people watching that or listening that don't know.
That is very true. So our meetup is going to be at PAX from 11:30 to 12:30 at the IBIS community room on Saturday. We will be there.
Sunday? Isn't it Sunday?
Sunday!
I was like, Saturday?
It's Sunday. It's Sunday.
The 8th of October.
The 8th of October, IBIS community room, 11:30 to 12:30. I just had a brain fart. I apologize. It's I've got a lot of things to do. So but I'm most excited about that meetup, and I hope that if you are attending PAX, it's Sunday. Kitty, yes, it's Sunday. It is Sunday. I'm very sorry. Kitty's gonna be mad at me.
And which day is your panel, Diana?
Yes,
it's on the Saturday. So Saturday, 11 a.m. So when you said Saturday, I was like, I don't think I can make it because I'm going to be on my panel.
I'm just going to go. I'm just going to hide underneath it.
So Saturday, 11 a.m. at the Quokka Theatre.
The Quokka, beautiful. Yeah. We'll be there. I'll be there. Yeah. Can't talk.
I'll be there. We'll be there.
I would like to be there. Depends if I'm going to be on my stage or not.
Leishy's going to be JBL queening, living her best life on Saturday. So definitely, if you're around, go and check her out. Ellie and I are just going to be vibing around.
I need a stage. Clearly, I need a stage.
Just bring one. Just bring like a milk crate.
Bring one. I'll be like, everyone, look at me. No reason. Just look at me. All right, I'm done. Bye.
We have. I don't know if you guys saw, but we have our really cool shirts. I'm so excited about them.
Woo-hoo.
It's so cool. I washed them, even though, Leisha, you didn't reply to my message about washing them.
I didn't even see it. Thank you.
Well, I did. I use
Thanks,
sensitive.
Mum.
I use sensitive.
Oh, you're a
washing
gem.
liquid, so
Thank you.
It'll be fine.
Considerate.
Ellie BYO stage, yes.
That's you don't have to tell me twice. I'm doing it. I'm gonna have a beer in hand. I'm wearing my PAX outfit. I'm gonna spit some cool poems.
Oh,
Some PAX
that'd be a
poems.
good one to watch. Yeah.
PAX poems.
What's that thing? And it's like poems, but you like wrap them. I forget what it's called. But yeah, I can imagine you doing that.
Not a patter song, if that's what you're thinking of in like theatre, when the person who can't sing is like da 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 da, and they just speak their song. That'll be me.
Me too.
So good. So yeah, I'm sure if you are at PAX and you see us around, that's it. Slam poetry. Thank you. It's called Slam Poetry, and it's amazing.
Oh, yes,
that's the one. But if you are at PAX and you do see us, come up and say hi. I've never given an autograph before, but I can try. But yeah, really, really exciting stuff. Follow all of our socials. You can find. Where can we find you, Diana?
Basically everywhere as MissDeusGeek. Otherwise, if you just try to spell my name, I'll challenge you on that. Try and spell my first name, and you should find something on the internet.
I think the only place where you're referred to as Diana is LinkedIn.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it'll be on LinkedIn.
I don't post any gaming thing. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I do sometimes, but most of the time it's professional. I try to keep it separate.
On LinkedIn.
Yeah, we've been pushing the LinkedIn around here, making sure that where everyone is making sure they're getting opportunities where they can. But yes, MissDeusGeek everywhere.
Pretty much.
And what will you be getting up to this week?
This week, I got to finalize a few things for that project because 2 weeks is going to go by very quickly. And as you girls know, launching something is a big step. I'm super nervous as well, but trying to go with the motions at this point in time. So I've got a business partner, which is kind of cool. I've never had a business partner before. So we're just trying to get things sorted and trying to get everything running smoothly, and hopefully we'll have a smooth launch at the week before PAX, or the week of PAX. I mean, so that'll be this week. I work in marketing. This is my job. It's all about the teasers.
For sure. Ellie, what are you going to be up to this week?
Yes, so on Quest Daily, I'll have my Under the Waves review come out. And then I guess I might start some new games. You finish a game, you're looking for that next one. You're like, what's coming up? What's coming up? I'll have to jump onto something else. I mentioned Alan Wake, so maybe I've installed it. I just have to start it. And that's the leap, the scary leap, but getting there.
Yeah. And if you're not following Ellie on her Instagram, she's not really a Twitter gal. She's more of an Insta gal. She's so funny. So if you're looking for some lighthearted tomfoolery around gaming,
that's a good explanation of a tomfoolery.
Definitely check her out. She may call you out on some of your habits, but that's okay because she'll laugh with you.
Yes, guilty.
Lishi, what are you doing this week?
Oh man, I actually have a very busy week. I was actually asked to do a presentation at a Sony event. So I'm going to be presenting my journey as a content creator next week in Melbourne, which is really exciting.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
even announced it at all. Yeah, so very excited to do that and talk to a bunch of new content creators and people who want to start in the industry and hopefully inspire them with the path that I took. I'll also be in Sydney on Wednesday for a launch party of something, and then coming home Thursday to a movie premiere. So I'm very busy. Very busy this time of year. Like, I'm very grateful that I get to do a lot, but it can be very overwhelming. Like, every day is just booked. So I'll probably play some Pokemon on the plane because it's most likely only going to be the chance that I get. So, and then it's prepping for PAX.
Definitely.
Woohoo.
This week for myself, I'll be obviously planning our next episode, which I'm very delighted to say it's going to be the ultimate PAX guide for girlies. So we're going to be making sure that all of our gamer girls out there are ready, prepped for PAX. So if you're unsure, or if it's your first time, or you know what, you just want to have a laugh because you've been many times and you've made the same mistakes we have, come along. We're here every Saturday. So
That's it.
So yeah, I'll be planning that. I still haven't done like my full schedule for PAX yet.
Same.
And I'll also be chasing up a few emails. So really exciting stuff around here. I'm also seeing the Paw Patrol movie tomorrow. So
Rock on.
all right. That brings us to the end of our show. Big shout out to our special guest, Diana, MissDeusGeek. Love your work. Can't wait to see this exciting project of yours.
I'm so excited.
And we'll have to catch up at PAX, get a little bit of a selfie, a little bit of a moment. Can't wait. I've bought a gimbal. So I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna be that person.
I love that.
Sorry. And yeah, so thank you again. Thank you to my lovely co-hosts. You're amazing as always. Love seeing you grow. Really coming into yourselves and all the exciting things you're doing. We love to see it here. And thank you to our product sponsor, Elgato. And thank you to our chat. You've been awesome. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.